What is up, world? My name is Hunter. Wanted to start doing a couple of videos. Recently, I've been reading books by Gary Vaynerchuk, um, Sean Whalen. In the past, I've read a bunch of books, right? All of them motivational books because I used to read stuff like Jaws and Goosebumps and fantasy books, right? But I didn't really like reading a whole lot. And to be honest, if I'm going to read something, I want to get something out of it. So I've been reading motivational books. I've been in sales for a really long time, done account management, different stuff like that. Pretty much my entire adult life. Adult life. And yeah, you get to a point where you're working for other people. You get to a point where you have some of the things in life that you really, really want. And you want a little bit more. And you realize that that little bit more doesn't necessarily mean that you want more money. Maybe you want to enjoy more things in life. Maybe you want more material things. Maybe you want to be able to travel more, etc. For me, kind of got to the point where I want to enjoy what I do. So this is kind of the start of my journey, to be honest with you. I am a business development rep for a software company. I dig it. It's a great company to work for. Comes with perks. Get a bunch of Delta miles out of it. Some Marriott points. I get to travel the world. I've been to countries that as a kid, little kid from Texas, I never, ever thought that I'd be to. It's been crazy, man. It's a crazy journey going and seeing how everyone else lives. It's been pretty epic. And, people look at the travel aspect and they're like, oh, you're so lucky you've been able to visit all these countries. I visited a lot of countries, but, it's from a meeting room or a restaurant or, on the taxi ride over or, the Uber or whatever. I haven't really gotten to experience a lot of different things, but I've been very, very lucky to be able to visit, a bunch of different countries. So long story short, it definitely has a lot of its perks and I enjoy it. What I truly love though are cars. Cars. And it's funny, there's kind of a label, I guess, that goes along with loving cars, and it's that you're childish. And I've always hated that. I've always hated that because I loved cars when I was a little kid. A little boy. I had a bunch of toy cars, blah, blah, blah. Grew up, got a driver's license, got a Chevy Corsica, chopped the exhaust off of it. It was the first mod that I ever did in my life. Made it sound like a Mustang. It was so loud and annoying, backfiring out of the side of the car. And it was great, but from then on, I loved cars, and I've had some really awesome cars in the past, and got to a point in my life where I was doing decent at my day job. I wanted to do more on the side though, and I wanted to sell car parts. And at the time, I had an '06 Subaru WRX. Really loved that car. It blew up. But that's what Subarus do, especially when you have idiots like me throwing giant turbos on them and such. Outside of the story. So I started selling parts, and I created a small brand. It was called BHR Performance. Stood for Brotherhood Racing Performance. And it was really cool because it was an idea that took years and years and years of desire and dreaming and wanting. And I started to put it into reality many years ago, and started selling Subaru parts and got really, really into the Subaru community. And this was before every Subaru came with a vape pen. and mud flaps. But I really dug it, and I got to a point in my life where um, I wanted to do it full time, but I was very, very scared to commit to it. It wasn't a smart idea for me to do it full time. But it was weird because at the same time, I would leave work and go pick up parts for some kid that wanted a new exhaust, or they wanted, they wanted springs on their car or whatever. I'd go pick up the parts, and the second that I left the door of my job, I would feel 50 times happier. Not because I was making money on it. There's no money in making it in selling parts, to be honest with you, because there's no margin, because these giant corporations make these super expensive parts and then they sell it to somebody, and then I buy it from the reseller, and they have their markup, etc. So I wasn't making jack doing it. Barely, not even enough to mod my own damn car, to be honest. But the enjoyment that I got out of it, it was the best 10-15 minute drive to go get the parts, and the best 20-30 minutes driving to meet up with a kid and selling the parts and talking about his car and talking about what he wanted to do. I loved it so much, and I think it's time to revisit that, to be honest with you. I dig what I do for a living right now, but I think that I can do better. And as a person that wants to learn and grow, etc., I think that it would be a waste if I did not incorporate some of my talents and start doing a little bit on the side of what I love. So that's why we're here. So my thought is to start selling parts again and sharing my enjoyment of cars with someone, not necessarily to make money. Yeah, a few extra bucks, that'll be cool. But it's really the enjoyment of the community. It's the enjoyment of the cars. It's the enjoyment of going to Cars and Coffee and looking at, tons of different cars, looking at $100,000 car and looking at a $5,000 car, and understanding the work that goes into each one is equal, and the love for each vehicle is equal. This video really isn't supposed to be about cars. This video is to kind of introduce you to my idea. And the idea is personal growth behind that. Now, I have a love of cars. Maybe you don't. That's fine. Most people don't. It's a one step better than cocaine habit, basically. Very, very expensive. And, it's hard to understand that a man can love a machine and doing different things to a vehicle that most people just use to get around, right? But the idea behind this video is this is the journey. So I wanted to take some of you on my journey to start a business, to develop relationships, to market, to advertise, to build a brand. And you know what? If you're into fitness, if you're into marketing a personal brand, if you're into clothing, I think it's something that all of us can take advantage of. And if you get a little something out of these videos, awesome, great. I look at what other people are doing, even locally. Funny story, I didn't even intend on making this video today or whatever. I just so happened to be wearing a hat from Salt Riot, awesome clothing brand that makes softball clothing, jerseys, hats, different stuff like that. I'm also wearing a shirt from 8080. And if you're unfamiliar, they're the guys that give away a car every once in a while, and you get an entry into this basically lotto by buying their clothing, but the clothing is really comfortable too. And these are local guys that enjoy something, and they're playing to their strengths, and they are making it happen. So this is kind of the first step in my journey. Why not put it on tape? Put it on tape. It makes me sound so freaking old. Why not put the journey on film, on digital recording, put it on the webs, put it on the tweeter. I just got a tweeter, by the way. I still don't know how to work it, but I got a tweeter like, I got a Twitter like a week ago, and I sent out a couple of tweets, and that was kind of a big deal for me. It's not like I'm old. I'm not 70, 80 years old. I just never had the need to have a Twitter, to be honest. But, it's all part of building the brand, I guess. So I have a Twitter now. I follow the Broncos. I follow, some friends of mine and some other local companies that do like powder coating and stuff like that. So, regardless. So this is a little bit about Journey. And I'll be releasing, putting out subsequent videos and material about my journey. So I hope that you follow along. I don't want to sell you anything. I just want to show you some of my journey, and hopefully it inspires you to start your own journey. Thanks.